All right, here we go. The Flames On section. Who's ready for this? Who is ready for this? This afternoon, boy, we're gonna bring it. I've lived in Washington, D.C. for 10 years, okay? It's not my choice. It's part of my job. I have to be there, all right? I have to be there. I gotta tell you, it is so exciting for me to be able to introduce our next speaker. It's so exciting to have someone in Washington, D.C. with some guts, with the ability to tweet and savage the left and the ability to not have to check everything through 1,000 different press people. He just goes. He just goes and goes and goes. You might know him as probably the most flames-on member of Congress on Twitter. You might know him as the guy who destroyed Robert Mueller when Robert Mueller came in to testify, just savaged. You might know him as a member of Congress who is the last guy you ever want to be cross-examined if you're in his committee room. And you also might know him as an absolute handsome devil. His name is Matt Gaetz. Let's roll the tape.
You ever watch this guy on television?
You all were not telling the truth, and you should not be trusted.
Congressman Matt Gaetz, thank you for what you did for your country tonight.
Be offended with the Democratic whip, not House Republicans.
Like a machine, Matt Gaetz.
Oh! Thank you, thank you. Good to be here with some of my fellow deplorables. Good to be here with my man, Roger Stone. I cannot believe that in the United States of America, you could be accused of a crime because of politics, and then when you try to use the political process to make your defense, some un-American acting judge says you can't get out and tell people the truth, what's really going on. You know what? Roger Stone's under a gag order right now because he went out there on Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and he made his case and he was working them silly. So Roger, you stay after him. We're still with you. We're going to keep America great together. So GQ magazine calls me the Trumpiest congressman in Trump's Washington. Now, they mean that as an insult, but I wear it as a badge of honor. And I could kind of see why people would make the comparison. You know, Trump's got great hair. I've got great hair. Trump sometimes says things that get him in trouble on Twitter. I sometimes say things that get me in trouble on Twitter. Donald Trump has dated some of the most beautiful women in the world, and now he's married to a multilingual supermodel in Melania Trump. And I occasionally say things that get me in trouble on Twitter. So. Now, while no two people agree on everything, I am so proud to animate the America First movement with a joyful energy and a determined sense of purpose. It is incredible for us to remember what happened in the 2016 election. Every major establishment institution in the country worked against Donald Trump. The establishment Republicans and Democrats were against him. We had to fight the Clinton dynasty and the Bush dynasty together. Wall Street, the deep state, the corporate mainstream media, all of those institutions opposed Donald Trump, and they opposed his message that it is time to put the American people first. Trump and the American people, we beat the establishment in 2016, and we're going to beat them again in 2020. But the deep state and the oligarchs, the special interests, they haven't given up trying to overturn the will of the American people. Democrats paid foreign agents to interfere in our election against Trump. The media won't bring it up now, but the DNC encouraged the Ukraine to time allegations against Paul Manafort to help Hillary Clinton. The deep state accused him of being a Russian agent. The mainstream media continues negative coverage at an almost 90% rate, despite America having the hottest economy in the world. These desperate efforts to manipulate, distort, undermine, and override the will of the American people only serve to energize our movement and intensify our support for our President Donald Trump. Compare the energy at a Trump rally to the snooze-a-thon that is a Joe Biden event. You know, at a Trump rally, we hand you a sign to wave when you come in. At a Joe Biden rally, they hand you smelling salts just to be able to keep you awake. Biden rallies are the only thing I've seen more lifeless than Robert Mueller's testimony. But Joe Biden will not win the nomination. Joe's problem is that he's just not radical enough. In today's woke Democratic Party, the ideological debate is over. Rational Democrats have lost to the squad, or as I call them, the Venezuela wing of the Democratic Party. And we're about to see this orgy of socialism on full display in the upcoming Democrat debate. The good news for Tom Steyer is that after spending hundreds of millions of dollars, he's finally got a podium on the debate stage. The problem is that it's the same podium I think Marianne Williamson sacrificed a chicken on before her last debate performance. The radical left is trying to socially engineer an imaginary world without cows, cars, buildings, straws, guns, or cheeseburgers. Meanwhile, we conservatives remain committed to the noblest social and political experiment in all of human history, the United States of America, first and always. We will never apologize for who we are as Americans. We will always stand and fight for our Constitution, including our God-given right to keep and bear arms. Beto O'Rourke said, "Hell yes, he's coming for our guns." Nobody's taking our guns. And certainly our guns aren't getting confiscated by Robert Francis O'Rourke, an Ivy League male nanny who renamed himself Beto in his 30s. Now, maybe I shouldn't pick on Beto. It's not like he went and falsified a Native American ancestry. It's not like he pretended he got fired for being pregnant when he wasn't. The NRA invests millions of dollars in training for the safe and appropriate care of firearms. I'm proud to be a lifetime member of the NRA. Our message should be that America has nothing to fear from law-abiding gun owners. In fact, law-abiding gun owners keep our communities safe and promote a sense of personal responsibility that is a uniquely American value. We can always strive to be a more perfect union, but the radical left's version of perfection looks a lot more like my visions of hell. Open borders, disarmed Americans, stifling taxes. This is no way to live in a free society. With the radical left in charge, we would eat nothing but kale and quinoa while flying around on our non-gender specific flatulent-free unicorns on our way to a Bernie Sanders drum circle or a rain dance with Pocahontas. Democrats want to give us the government cheese of healthcare and limit the innovations that could unlock cures and allow people to live more active and fulfilled lives. We'd be required to sacrifice even more of what we earn on the altar of big, inefficient government. And they'd give free healthcare to illegal aliens while rendering illegal the employer-based healthcare that covers more than half the country. They'd invite anyone with a sad story to cross our borders without permission or consequence, and they'd send you the bill for their health care, child care, transportation, cell phones, and more. You'd even subsidize their tuition, wasted at some liberal university, where every illegal alien can get a free major in America Sucks from some tenured professor wearing Birkenstocks and pink hats who believes that Antifa are just a bunch of freedom-loving good souls out on college campuses. That's not America first, that's socialism. And I say the Venezuela wing of the Democratic Party has it wrong. Winston Churchill said it right. Capitalism is the unequal sharing of profit. Socialism is the equal sharing of misery. And so I can think of no better place than here at Trump Doral, with fellow patriots to declare that they will not prevail. America will never be a socialist country. Freedom will reign on our watch, and it is a freedom earned each and every day through the disproportionate sacrifice of military families. Military families are the best among us, and they inspire the best within us. I'm the member of Congress who represents more troops than anyone else in Washington, and I am incredibly proud of them. And it is on their behalf that I say thank you, President Trump, for rebuilding our military, reforming the VA, and respecting the flag and the national anthem of our country. But a well-funded and a well-supported and a loved military does not have to be so well-worn. Today, our military is overstretched, overexerted, and over-deployed in some of the world's most miserable places. In Syria, we had tens of Americans stuck between an army of 60,000 and another army of 100,000 who have been fighting each other for the last 400 years and who will likely be fighting each other for another 400 years. Our mission to deprive ISIS of caliphate land has been accomplished with the help of the Kurds and with over $9 billion being paid to the Kurds. The Kurds have been fighting bravely where they live, but they have been trained, funded, and equipped by the United States. We cannot accept the proposition that if we support a group of people because our interests align in one case, that somehow this morally binds our country to every conflict they have, past, present, or future. This would not enhance our future alliances, it would constrain our future alliances. The blood of America's bravest patriots is our country's most sacred currency, and it should only be spent when absolutely vital to American interests. President Donald Trump is the first president since Ronald Reagan not to start a new forever war, and on behalf of the service members and their families who I represent, I pray every day he can end more of them. There are times when the fight is right and just, and that's why we've got to have the toughest military in the world capable of vanquishing any foe. But I think that I'd sure like to rebuild America before we rebuild Kandahar. I'm more concerned about the Gulf cartel on the U.S.-Mexico border than I am fighting for rich foreign dictatorships and their oil in the Gulf of Oman. America first to me means nation building here at home. It means we can't be the world's piggy bank or the world's police force. We should secure every inch of the U.S. border with Mexico before we send the first soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine to secure Saudi Arabia's border with Yemen, Iraq's border with Iran, or Syria's border with Turkey. We have spent $6 trillion in Iraq and Afghanistan. That is more than the market capitalization of Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and Google combined. It is more than all of our nation's student loan debt and credit card debt combined. And we honestly can't say that for all these years that we've made things considerably better. The Afghan government today only controls 56% of administrative districts. That's down from 72% just 3 years ago. We have spent 18 years trading the same villages back and forth with the Taliban. Strong borders, energy dominance, a rebuilt manufacturing base, a rebuilt homeland, a restored American economy. These do more for our national interest than ill-fated interventionist regime change wars. And as President Trump reminds us, it is economic security that advances our national security, and the Trump economy is roaring. We've got the lowest unemployment in 50 years. We've got the lowest African American, Asian American, Hispanic American employment ever in recorded history. We've got the fastest wage growth in a generation, and America is no longer dead money in trade deals with our allies and adversaries alike. We are bringing money home from foreign bank accounts, and those resources are rebuilding American jobs, American industry, and they are restoring promise in the American worker. It's a pretty simple premise. When we allow people to keep what they earn, the great innovation of our country leads the world. But we cannot be a great nation if we do not secure our border. The radical left wants the opposite: open borders and hatred towards anyone who enforces America's immigration laws. Abolishing Border Patrol and ICE is an insane idea. MS-13 isn't going to give up carjacking and rape and murder to take up organic gardening. Human smugglers and human traffickers making millions moving people through illicit means, they're not going to give up all the revenue for Andrew Yang's universal basic income. The Sinaloa cartel led by El Chapo, I don't think they're going to be replacing cocaine with kale or fentanyl with fennel anytime soon in their growing operation. If cartels had lobbyists, they would pretty much write our asylum laws the way they are today. Instead of requiring those entering America to present permissions and paperwork, today's sick laws just require them to present a trafficked child. And the left tells us this is humane. This is how we have to have humane policy. But there is nothing humane about children being stolen, rented, trafficked, forced into fake families, and exploited in every way. It is tragic when you hear the stories of the same kids that they'll use to get entry into our country. They'll ship them back over the border and have them do it all over again in fake families. It's happened many, many times. We're starting to catch it. And it is truly sickening that our laws create an incentive to exploit children. Now, some want to make it worse. Presidential candidates like Julian Castro and others, they say we should decriminalize unlawful entry into the United States. So if you drive a few hours north of here and you break into Disney World, it is a crime that lands you in jail. But if you break into our country, the left wants to make that an administrative infraction, where you just get a taxpayer-funded plane flight to any city in the United States. This is crazier than Marianne Williamson's last seance with the undead. Now, despite the unprecedented obstruction, President Trump is actually taking action and he's getting results. More than 71 miles of the wall have been built on the most vulnerable parts of the border, and we are going to build 500 miles of wall by the end of 2020. So now when Guatemalans are apprehended in our country, they don't get catch and release. They get a one-way ticket on an airplane back to Guatemala City. Instead of these people crossing look, 1% of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, each of those countries, 1% of each of those countries moved into our country in a 4-month period. Well, now, as a result of President Trump's reforms, instead of them just being released into our country to await their fake asylum hearing, now we have over 60,000 asylum seekers not waiting in our country, but waiting in Mexico, and that is sending the message that we will not be taken advantage of anymore. Thanks to President Trump's threat of tariffs, Mexico has converted from a turnstile for human traffickers to a reliable security partner. Since May, apprehensions on our border have been cut by way more than half. And as America First patriots, of course we support the president and advance his achievements. But Congress, where I work, don't let us off the hook. We must stay committed to ending illegal immigration, instituting E-Verify, banning sanctuary cities, getting rid of entitlements and cash payments to illegal aliens, and of course, keep building the wall to respond to the national security crisis that we face. In all things that we do, we conservatives seek common sense for the common good of the common citizen in our country. But at times, it is the strength and truth and popularity of our ideas that can at times be a mixed blessing. The power of our movement has led the radical left to stop engaging us in fair debate. Instead, the radical left, along with their allies in the fake news media in Silicon Valley, simply attempt to defame, deplatform, and destroy anyone who champions the America First agenda. For too long, many on the right would allow this to happen, whether out of stupidity or cowardice or some misplaced sense of chivalry. We had a lot of people on the right who thought we could win the discussion of ideas, but too often traded this as a consolation prize for losing the battle for the soul of our country. And then something came along, or someone, I should say, who changed everything. And that's our president and my good friend, Donald J. Trump. In President Trump, we found a leader who didn't just have the right ideas, he had the right approach to roll up his sleeves and mix it up and win. We finally had a leader who understood that you cannot apply the Marquis of Queensberry rules of engagement when you're fighting against a rabid pack of angry hyenas. We will no longer allow the unhinged left to silence us. We will not give in, we will not back down, and we will always speak the truth, even when it is politically incorrect. Because political correctness is not about civility. It's about control. And we're not going to let the fake news media and the Silicon Valley and the unhinged left control what we say or limit the fight we have in our hearts to save this great country. I had a few politically incorrect moments about a week and a half ago. The subject was unbelievable. House Judiciary Democrats were having a hearing on policing, and they brought in as their expert witness Al Sharpton. On policing. This is the same Al Sharpton who called white people crackers. The same Al Sharpton who presided over anti-Semitic riots in New York. The same Al Sharpton who called cops pigs. Inviting Al Sharpton to speak on policing is like inviting Hillary Clinton to speak on email security. Hey, maybe next we'll invite in Elizabeth Warren to give us a lecture on Native American ancestry, just to kind of round out the experience. The radical left's lunacy, just their abject lunacy, must be our basis to never allow them at the helm of our great country. Of course, the more the American people wake up, the crazier the left gets, and the more they fight dirty. An angry Antifa mob showed up at Tucker Carlson's house with his scared wife and daughter inside. One crazy lady walked up to Eric Trump and spit in his face during dinner. An Antifa supporter and a former Democratic opponent of mine has now pled guilty in federal court to assaulting me at a town hall meeting. This is the unfair behavior of people who cannot win a fair debate and cannot win a fair election. We see this unfairness. We see this unfairness as conservative voices are being ripped from the digital public square. Diamond and Silk were deemed a danger to society by Facebook. Diamond and Silk, the only thing they're a danger to are the left's stereotypes. Pinterest has begun indiscriminately removing any reference to firearms. Google has an employee chat room entitled The Resistance, but they claim there's no bias in their company, of course. And Twitter shadow banned 4 members of Congress: Devin Nunes, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, and Matt Gaetz. So I guess I'm happy with the company. Now, I don't want Washington running my life, but I sure as hell don't want Silicon Valley running my life. It's not just that big tech is attempting to completely deplatform America First voices with social media censorship. To put it bluntly, big tech is doing everything possible to prevent the American people from ever deciding their own elections again. Over the past 2 years, we've learned that unelected bureaucrats, with the help of the fake news media, have attempted to deplatform our America First president through the Russia hoax and now the straight-to-DVD knockoff Ukrainian sequel. We said no collusion. We said this was a coup. And after 22 months, over $30 million spent, 19 prosecutors, 2,200 witnesses, and 500 subpoenas, we were proven 100% correct. And yet, shifty Adam Schiff and other Trump-hating, obsessed House Democrats are so humiliated. And it's obvious why. Their allegations were exposed as lies. Their motives were revealed as corrupt to the core for the hungry, powerful, or desirous of being powerful partisans that they are. And now, without a crime, without a victim, and with the inconvenient fact that the Trump administration delivered military aid that the Obama administration withheld, they're talking about impeachment. I mean, think about that. Like, can you just, for a moment, reflect on all these alligator tears from all these Democrats? Oh, he put our national security at risk. We didn't give all this aid to the Ukrainians. Obama never gave it. Trump did what Obama didn't, and now they want to impeach him for it. We've gone from tragedy to total farce. How can America ever lecture another nation again about corruption if we don't even investigate why the son of Vice President Biden was making more than $50,000 a month for a no-show job? Now you'll want to hear this. So, if you haven't read it yet, the last detailed investigation of Hunter Biden was done by The New Yorker. Now, this should be the only thing you ever read in The New Yorker, but you should read it. The New Yorker describes Hunter Biden as a man who wanders through homeless encampments looking to buy crack. Not exactly the international man of mystery, and not someone who you think would be worth $50,000 a month. Joe Biden wants us to believe that his son legitimately helped a foreign business identify opportunities and resolve disputes. But Hunter Biden hasn't even resolved his own dispute with Hertz rental car for leaving a crack pipe in his wrecked automobile. Now the radical left wants to impeach President Trump for legitimately asking Ukraine to work in partnership with our government to stop corruption. And the Democrats blame Trump. The swamp is so backwards, Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and their America fighting corruption is an impeachable offense. I say it's past time to turn the tables on the institutionalized and well-practiced thievery of Washington, D.C. I'm talking about the corruption that allows the Clinton family to turn the Clinton Foundation into their global piggy bank. I'm talking about the corruption that allows Joe Biden to play global whack-a-mole with prosecutors he doesn't like. And the corruption that allows unelected bureaucrats to entice America's allies to spy on American citizens for political benefit. We can never allow that to happen in our country ever again. So, the most common question I get is, when are they going to jail? I think they should already be under the jail, and I look forward to Attorney General Barr's investigation finally revealing the truth to all Americans. No matter what, though, we will not be discouraged by the left's hoaxes, hypocrisy, or hate. They're fighting hard, but we're going to fight 10 times harder. We'll outsmart them, we'll outlast them, and we'll prevail, and we will do it with a big patriotic smile. Because there are regular folks all over this country who don't come to gatherings like this. They don't talk about politics when they go to church or when they go to work. They certainly don't talk about politics to pollsters. But they see how hard President Trump is working to expose and change a corrupt Washington, and they see the crap that he's getting for it. And these forgotten Americans, these regular folks, they're coming out to vote for Donald Trump in 2020. I can feel it with every fiber of my being. We're going to take our country back, and you right here are leading the way. And you know, we've got to be the joyful movement. I see how angry the radical left is all the time, and I figure Donald Trump's our president. Ron DeSantis is the governor of Florida. I mean, you know, these are the times to be happy. And so, let's be that joyful movement. Let's be that bright light that draws people in to the most exciting opportunity our country has to make change. I am so proud of our president. I am so grateful that you give me the chance to fight alongside him in the United States Congress. I'm ready for the fight. You're ready for the fight. Let's go get him. Thank you.